Geek Out!
Good evening and welcome to Slaggers. Yeah. Well, this is another episode of Deconstructing.
It's over already?
Yeah,
It's
no,
over?
Yeah, you're fine. You're safe. Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Go ahead and shut it off. Yeah. Hit the lights. Yeah. But yeah, Deconstructing the Beatles. As you know, we did. You may not know. Who the hell knows what you know? You may know everything. But we did the first half of the White Album last week. Or last time. So now we're doing the second half of the White Album because I didn't want to do 30 tracks in a single go.
Much appreciated, sir.
This is the album where the Beatles start to break up. All those tensions bubble up to the surface. They're mixing money together, which is always kind of iffy, and they're basically meeting the women that they'll spend decades with afterwards. I guess Harrison already has. Well, they divorced in like 5 years, but that's not the point. And I guess so does Ringo with Maureen. But again, that's not the point. We are talking about the second half of the White Album. You know, if you want to go into the reasons why the Beatles broke up in greater detail, I don't know how much we'll retread here. Listen to that first episode if you want to, hear that first half of the album, basically back in the USSR through Julia. Now we're talking disc 2. I'm Sam.
I'm Jake.
So yeah, let's just jump right into it. Side 2 or no, side
3?
Side 3, disc 2 of the White Album kicks off with Birthday.
Oh, Birthday. I love this song. I know like Lennon called it trash.
Garbage.
Garbage.
Yeah.
The proper name for trash. So at least he gave it that.
Rubbish.
No, yeah, I love this song. I remember I always joked, I was like, if I ever had kids, they're just gonna this is their birthday song they're gonna sing. They're never gonna know Happy Birthday.
Well, the oldies station here in the DC area always plays the instrumental opening to Birthday.
Oh yeah,
to announce like people's birthdays.
I remember way back when we were doing the Cinema Circus from way back in the day. One of the guys we had on that, TJ, a good friend of ours, he would call me on my birthday and have a voicemail. It left as a voicemail, which was probably for the best because I could save it. And he would go, "Hey, how is your birthday? Ready, boys?" And he would press play, and he sang the entire song with the Beatles in the background.
It's almost 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's classic, classic stuff. By the way, speaking of that, I just wanted to point out at the time of recording this, yesterday, that Facebook Memories thing reminded me that I think it was 4 years ago, you wrote on my wall, "Hey, I heard you want to do a podcast. You're interested in sitting down to talk about recording." So August 6th?
August 6th. Damn. August 6th, 2012.
I think that was the beginning of what would become Cinema Circus, and then you really took that and became with Geek Out and brought the rest of us on for that. So
sure,
that's
yeah.
wild.
Yeah. It's kind of weird that we're still. I guess we took like a hiatus for like a year and a half.
Yeah. We're wings now.
Yeah. Which will, oh God, that means we're going to put out Back to the Egg.
We still got some time for Back to the Egg. We technically haven't even put out our Band on the Run yet. So
yeah, we haven't even. Yeah, I would love to put out like a Red Rose Speedway.
that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot. But we were talking about the Beatles.
But yeah, Birthday. So yeah, they're basically Paul McCartney lives in St. John's Wood, which is the same neighborhood as Abbey Road Studios. They take a break during some recording session to go watch a 1950s rock and roll movie at his place, or like an early 60s rock and roll movie. And inspired, they go back and write and record Birthday. And yeah, John Lennon calls it garbage.
Yeah, I mean it's not.
It's not a deep song.
It's not reinventing the wheel here, but it's
not
fun.
Imagine. Sorry, John.
Yeah, you can hear, Lennon or McCartney going nuts on the keyboard and kind of screaming along and having a good time. And
you've got Yoko and I think Linda McCartney.
Yeah,
on the backing vocals for the Happy Birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a fun jam.
Yeah.
There's a couple really good fun jams on this side.
This side's got like the next track is one of my favorite.
This is a heavy side too.
It's it's one of my favorite Lennon tracks on this entire album. It's Your Blues.
Oh yeah,
which is basically his like Rolling Stones esque. Like he's got a couple Rolling Stones esque songs, but this is certainly one of them.
This one works. Is this the one that I heard that when like Ringo came back, this is the first song they jammed on?
It was either that or Hey Jude.
Okay, yeah, I'd always heard that, like, because you can feel, and that they recorded it live supposedly, because like you can feel
it.
on
Sounds
this
like
one,
that
they just went through and they just ripped like Lennon,
because it's a beautiful, dirty.
Oh yeah, Lennon's voice,
number.
like he's shredding on it. He's talking about the eagle, pick my eye, and all that kind of stuff, and just
references Bob Dylan's Mr. Jones.
Yeah, it's great, man. Like if anyone thought maybe they were losing, if you're like listening to this album, track by track, and you're thinking they're kind of losing steam, side 2 reminds me they still really have a kick to them.
Yeah.
Lennon's does it and McCartney does it as well.
And speaking of the Stones, the Rolling Stones Rock and Roll The Rolling Stones' Rock and Roll Circus was recorded for a broadcast for Christmas of 1968.
Uh-huh.
At that point, Lennon's decent friends with Keith Richards.
Keith.
Yeah, and he plays Your Blues. I think the only time he ever played it publicly on the Rock and Roll Flying Circus. You can find it on, the DVD's available, or you can just watch it online. It's Keith Richards on the bass, Mitch Mitchell from the Jimi Hendrix Experience on the drums, and he's on Lennon's on guitar, and Yoko's in a bag on the sack on the stage. Because we can't just have
nice things.
They can't be perfect. It just can't be pristine.
But it's a rip roaring track.
Yeah, no, it's again, it's one of my favorite Lennon numbers. I think that his mission statement with the White Album was to get back to the kind of because he didn't like how polished Sgt. Pepper's and Magical Mystery Tour turned out to be. So I think it's his kind of attempt to get back to the dirtier sound they had at the beginning of their career.
Yeah,
but yeah, fantastic number. Next one is kind of a softer number. It's Mother Nature's Son.
Oh yes. This is one of my favorite McCartney songs. Period. Beatles, Wings, solo, whatever. I probably told the story before, but I remember the first time I saw him on the Driving USA tour for Driving Rain, his solo stuff. I was obsessed with this song. That was the song I was jamming to the most, gearing up for it. Even though obviously I knew it was a Beatles song. But I was like, why would he play this song? It's not, you don't think of this as a big hit. The acoustic number you're going to play from this is Blackbird, and he kind of shooed the band off stage politely and just took acoustic guitar and started playing songs. And I don't remember the order, but I remember he played this song live. And it was one of my favorite concert moments because I was so not prepared to hear the song live, a song that I was obsessing over for weeks and weeks and weeks before seeing him. So yeah, I think it is a perfect snapshot of pure vintage McCartney melody, just an acoustic guitar, and some really great overdub harmonies with the guitars, some whistling. And it kind of really kind of sums him up, and I think Linda as well too. This Mother Nature and where he go with being a vegetarian and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, it's a great way to follow up to a song like Your Blues.
Yeah, it's a good chaser.
It's sorbet.
Yeah.
But I love this song. Really one of my favorite Beatles songs.
And then if you think about it, it's sandwiched in between another Lennon kind of riffing on the Rolling Stones number.
Yeah.
With Everybody's Got Something to Hide except for Me and My Monkey.
Oh man. I used to, just for this is when the internet was dial up and really shitty. It has nothing to do with the internet, but just for a time frame, I would take the song and I would just cut out moments. I would record. I don't remember how I did it. I'd record it on my computer and then cut out moments I liked, and I had a folder just titled The Beatles with clips from favorite moments from songs, and the bass, the doom 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 doom. That was one of my favorite moments. That little bass line from it. But this is a totally insane, wild song.
Just jangly.
Yeah, it's jangly.
Yeah,
there is jing ding ding.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. I know that. I guess Monkey was his pet name for Yoko. I guess,
but not his Freudian one. Yeah.
Yeah. So
the other one, if you're wondering what I'm referencing, he used to call her mother, and it's yeah. It's okay. Maybe you're not my favorite Beatle anymore.
I remember we were I don't know. I think we were in San Diego, and again, you were 3 scotches deep. So, not being held accountable for this is now your new favorite Beatle. But we were talking about the Beatles, and I remember you were we were all in a circle, and you were favorite Beatle. A song for your Beatle album, go. And you looked at me and I was like, you already know mine. You're like, this is true. And then you went to the next person and then you got to you and you were like, my favorite Beatle's George. And I was like, he's 3 scotches deep, but maybe he's finally decided George is his favorite Beatle.
Yeah. Just, don't get the misogyny with that one.
Yeah. Anyway, though, I think it's, again, a fun song.
It's a good one. Yeah, it's
a
a
rock and roller.
It's a winner.
It's a long title.
I
think it might be the longest Beatles title.
It probably stands a good chance.
Yeah,
it's a winner. It's just it's a banger.
Sorry.
Yeah. But no, it's just a fun. Both of the Lennon songs so far are just really fun. One's kind of a little more morose, at least lyrically.
Yeah.
But this one's just a lot of fun.
The next one though is my favorite Lennon.
Really, because I'm just kind of I'm not a big fan of it.
Sexy Sadie.
Of Sexy Sadie.
I think this song is sexy. I don't know.
Sexy Sadie.
I think the groove is cool. I like Lennon's vocals a lot on it. And it's kind of a mix of the bite and also the kind of more melody of Lennon.
Yeah. It was
if you think about it, like we're going track by track, like Lennon's getting progressively less heavy, with like Your Blues, boom, fuck you.
Yeah.
And then, everyone's got some of High Screaming Monkey, jangly. And then Sexy Sadie is more of like smooth kind of bite to it.
Yeah. It's very much kind of a wry number.
I don't know. I've always kind of liked the groove and the melody for it.
It was a song that was originally called Maharishi because, as we mentioned with the last Beatles episode, the Beatles were studying transcendental meditation in India in Rakesh under Maharishi Yogi at George Harrison's behest, and they left because they heard that there was a rumor that was perpetuated that he had made sexual advances towards some of the students, and that Lennon personally felt betrayed, though later he kind of recognized that it probably was just bullshit that he had heard, which is what George and Paul ended up saying. But so he had originally written it Maharishi, and it was about, it's a song about him like being like full of shit. And George Harrison urged him to change the title to Sexy Sadie because he's like, let's not get sued, please. Everybody seems to be suing us these days.
Yeah.
Let's not get sued. And this is before Harrison got sued for My Sweet Lord.
Yeah.
Then Harrison's solution to getting sued for copyright infringement for My Sweet Lord was just buying the rights to My Sweet Lord. Because if you got that much money, go for it.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, for me personally, it's just a number that it's like it's weird. I don't like the slower. Some of the Lennon numbers don't do it for me. The Continuing Story of Bungalow Bill. There was another one off the last episode. It was not yes, it was the Continuing Story of Bungalow Bill. The other one was I'm So Tired.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those two, and they're kind of slower numbers.
Yeah,
they just don't do it for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's another Lennon track later on that I really like as well, which I don't know how you feel about it, but we'll get there. But yeah, I think Sexy Sadie's cool, but I like that it kind of sets up definitely my favorite track on this side or this disc, which is Helter Skelter.
Yes.
And there is quite yes. There is quite the backstory to this one.
Oh yeah.
I remember there was a poll in some Beatles book I had years ago that this was voted like the least favorite Beatles song, and I think it was because of the surrounding.
Did they not even count Revolution 9?
That was probably number 2. Stigma from it, because of course this is the song. There's 2 songs that really inspired Charles Manson with his bullshit. Piggies being one and Helter Skelter being the other. Of course, the Beatles. None of that shit was what the Beatles were intending when they wrote it. Of course. But unfortunately, that's kind of been the stigma that's been attached to this song.
The cloud.
Yeah, because I think this song, and again, the other story behind it is that Paul McCartney had read in an article that Pete Townsend said The Who had written the loudest, most audacious rock song of all time, I Can See for Miles. Which, when you think about it, you're like,
that's the most abrasive.
But even from The Who, yeah. I mean, granted, they go on the right, heavier stuff after, but even then, anyway, maybe it's the guitars. If you listen to it, it really, builds. It's a great song. I got unceremoniously kicked out of a bar for singing that once, but, so thanks, Pete. Again, Paul being the competitor that he is, probably rubbed his hands together, and he was like, oh, really? And went on
I'm going to fuck you up.
I'm going to fuck everyone up, and in my opinion, help. The Who obviously have a huge part in this as well, for both genres. But I think this song really, people are always like, the Beatles, really? But I think this is a song, and later songs we'll talk about, on Abbey Road and stuff, really helped set the idea for heavy metal and punk rock. I think this is just as much of a punk rock song as it is a heavy metal song. Yeah. Because the wild abrasiveness of it. And sure. I think the genius of this song, too.
Reckless abandon.
Totally. And, there was a 23-minute version of this song.
I mean, Ringo isn't exaggerating when he says he has blisters on his...
I mean, that wasn't, put in as a joke. That's him screaming it. That's real. That's not someone going, oh, yeah, say that now. He is exhausted, and he throws his sticks up, and he yells that.
Yeah. Because they're just jamming for so long.
Yeah, and George Harrison supposedly ran around with a lit ashtray on his head, like a king, I guess, the most metal king of all time. I mean that. Excuse me. That would be a crazy session to be sitting in on. Anyway, yeah, I think Lennon plays bass on this one. And I think McCartney's on the guitar duties. I think, but
I think they're out of tune.
Yeah, but what they do that I think is genius is, which anyone who's covered this doesn't do since that I've heard.
Not even U2?
I haven't heard the U2 version.
It's on Rattle and Hum.
Maybe they would do this. They might understand a little better. But during the verse, they play everything clean. So everything's clean. So they're strumming on it really loud. And then what makes it heavy is Ringo staying on the crash. So that's what makes it really heavy. But then when they kick into the chorus, the da-na-na-na-na-na-na, that's when they kick in the overdrive, hit the distortion, and then it just blows your face off. So like, and then the just like the weird, wild intro or outro kind of stuff. I think it's one of the coolest Beatles tracks. It's kind of funny that like, and one of the things I always point to when people are like, "Why is Paul your favorite Beatle?" I'm like, well, look at the White Album, for example. You can look at disc 1 and you can look at disc 2, but disc 2, because we're talking about it, Mother Nature's Son and Helter Skelter are on the same fucking disc. That is, that's some range, for a guy. And I was so glad the second time I saw him that he played Helter Skelter live. I think he really wasn't playing it live earlier, because when I saw him in 2001, he did not play Helter Skelter. But he seems to be playing that on every tour now, and it's awesome. It's so much fun. He adds a little bit more of like a fast-paced drum to the end, because they don't fade out, and it gets the crowd going. It's so much fun, all that bullshit stigma awfulness aside, I think it's one of the really top Beatles moments for me.
No, it's good. I think it's a better avant-garde song than Revolution 9, because it's actually a song. We're gonna get into that in a bit, which is just me saying like "fuck you, Revolution." Yeah. Anyway,
next song after that.
Next song is about. Someone asked. It's "Long, Long, Long" by George Harrison. It's his contribution to side 3. It's my favorite song on disc 2 by him, of which I get 2 to choose from.
It's funny because I feel like, man, we are on opposite fucking spectrums with this album, because my favorite's the other one he does.
All right.
Which makes for a good podcast, I guess.
The "Long, Long, Long," everyone was like, so were you longing for your wife? He's like, no, I was longing for God. That's why I went to India, to get cosmic, to slip the surly bonds of earth and touch the face of God, as it were. But no, it's a nice, like.
Sorry, what if like you did all that? You're just like, you stood for the you just go, you touch it and you're like, now what? And he's like, bye.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, bye. Yeah, just blasted back to earth.
Yeah. No, it's.
I did it.
Yeah. Just like half charred.
Yeah.
Like, I did it.
What'd you learn? Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
I think I forgot some stuff.
Yeah. I lost algebra.
Good.
Yeah, won't come in handy at all. No, I mean it's a nice, sweet, like.
It is a very sweet song, and I think that idea of him longing for God is a very Harrison thing, and I think it's a very beautiful song, and it reminds me of kind of what you're going to hear in some his solo stuff later. A lot of this stuff I think is seeds for the solo stuff.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, at this point,
it basically is solo
stuff.
Yeah,
well, and 1, yes, and 2, stuff he's writing now will show up on All Good Things Must Pass. So he's definitely, that mindset has begun. I mean, you don't just come out with a triple album right out the gate without having started on it for a while.
On the Beatles Anthology 3, I believe, they have his demo of just his acoustic guitar playing All Things Must Pass, and it is astounding. I remember it's kind of cliche, but the day I found out he died, that was not the studio track of that, like the demo from the Beatles Anthology 3 was the first thing I listened to when I found out he had passed, because it's kind of apropos, I guess, whatever. But I mumbled that because I was like, "Is that the right word?" But it works, and it's again, we're gonna like you said, hear all the basis for a lot of the solo stuff, and I think this is definitely one of those tracks.
Yeah. Now the next track had previously been released as a single.
Yeah.
During the summer of like 1968, it's as just Revolution. I guess Revolution Prime, no numbers after it. This is Revolution 1, which was the original kind of version that, they end up including on this album along with another Revolution. But the maybe it's because I heard the single version of Revolution for like years before I heard Revolution 1.
Yeah.
But Revolution 1 just doesn't do it for me.
No, it's I agree with you on that. It's when you have a song as like kick-ass as Revolution with the sort of guitars and the screams.
And we'll be talking about the single version like down the road.
Definitely.
You'll notice there's a lot of like non-album singles like I Want to Hold Your Hand and Day Tripper that we haven't talked about yet because they were never released on an album.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm with you 100% on that one. I think, the heavy Revolution is the better track. It doesn't it's the same song.
Yeah.
It's more of
slower.
It's a slower acoustic number.
They've got the shoo-be-doo-wop,
which they added in the promo video for the heavy version.
The live version.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I feel like that was like Paul, because Paul is so like strapped to want to play live. You can tell.
He also does the opening yell.
Yeah. Awesome.
So,
Paul's got to jump back to Helter Skelter real quick, to go in with the scream.
Also,
and
it looks like he's wearing like a pajama
shirt.
shirt.
He does. Yeah, he's got like, up to his belly button and stuff. It's like, oh, I'm metal. Listen to, someone has just isolated the vocals for Helter Skelter on YouTube. Just listen to those vocals. Astounding shit. Anyway, it's a fine track, but yeah, like Sam said, the single version is superior.
Yours is superior. So now we're like on like the last side of side 4, I suppose, of the album, the White Album.
The Beatles.
The Beatles. It's a self-titled album, but most people just call it The Beatles.
That's still the funniest shit, man.
Yeah. It's Honey Pie.
Oh, you know what?
The ultimate of granny shit.
I love this song. I love this song because it has like the old timey microphone.
Yeah,
kicks in. And tell this like sweet little story about this singer going to America or whatever. This is another example of like Helter Skelter's on this. You know what I mean? Honey Pie and Helter Skelter are 2 songs written by Paul McCartney
on this disc.
It's fine. It's fine. It's granny shit, but
it's like an advancement of Your Mother Should Know.
Yes, it is.
Which was off Magical Mystery Tour.
Anyone knows that when I say granny shit, I mean it in the best way possible now. I like this song, but I can imagine just Lennon being like, Jesus Christ, Paul.
This like old dance, like vaudeville dance hall number. I mean, I like it just fine, but yeah, I can like, for someone that's trying to go more raw and dirty. Yeah, you know.
That's all coming back to me now. I couldn't remember the lyrics for the longest time, but it's such a it's such a like short little sweet track. It's fine.
It's fine. But yeah, I can.
We said that exactly the same time.
Yeah,
the same cadence. Cadence.
I can imagine this driving John Lennon up the.
Oh yeah, wall, Paul's like quick.
Yeah. We'll only spend 3 weeks on this one.
Yeah.
The next one's apparently your favorite George Harrison song on side or disc 2 of the White Album. It's Savoy Truffle.
Oh,
which is all about Eric Clapton, like George Harrison's friend Sweet Tooth.
Yeah. Sweet tangerine. It's goofball. It's Harrison with a sense of humor
and a fuzzed out guitar.
And I like the fuzzed out guitar, and I like the groove for it. Not a favorite Harrison track of all time, but I dig it. It always makes me want to eat sweets.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I have that much of a sweet tooth.
I do, but not the kind where I would eat an entire Whitman sampler in a single sitting.
Yeah.
I need to get on Clapton level, I guess.
Yeah. But it's fine.
It's okay.
It's a jam. But it's really the fuzz guitar that I like.
Next song is actually my last song that I like on the album. It's Cry Baby Cry.
Ooh, this is like, and we were talking about Lennon tracks, like Sexy Sadie, and like but I also really love Cry Baby Cry.
I love the piano work on this.
Oh yeah, and I also love there's a moment
with the McCartney outro.
Well, but like there's a guitar throughout. It goes down, and but for some reason it gets like closer and closer, and it gets really heavy, like that one note, and then it goes back to just being kind of like a kind of almost just a casual.
It crashes like a wave. It builds and swells like a wave, crashes, and then goes right back.
That's my favorite part of Cry Baby Cry. I really like the song a lot.
Yeah, no, it's a winner. It's a good one. And then apparently during some session for an earlier song, it may have been Mother Nature's Son or I Will. Like McCartney's just kind of jamming on the acoustic guitar alone in the studio, and they record what's the outro.
Where I came from, can you take me back?
Can you take me back? Can you take me back? No, it's
That's probably like as long as it is. That's the whole song
yeah,
right
it's
there.
not a
much.
very long number, but it's good. It's good.
I remember when me, TJ, and our buddy Josh and Alice, we went to the first Abbey Road on the River here at National Harbor. This guy, one of the things was he played a medley of every Beatles song ever that lasted 2.5 hours. Mm-hmm. So he started with the first track, first album, last track, last album, and then he did the singles afterwards. So when he got to this song, he's playing it, and we're like, is he going to play like the Paul McCartney part like afterwards, or is it just he's going to next? And he fucking did it. He played the little Paul McCartney part. And on the White Album, he did all the little things in between. Like, it was really cool. But
how did he do Revolution 9?
I think he might have just banged on the keyboard or something, or he just said a line from it.
Number 9.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. We all, if I remember correctly, I think we might have just stopped and went number 9, and then we went right back to the next thing.
Yeah, good.
It'd be funny if we just played the whole thing.
Yeah. I think it's the longest song on the entire album. It might be the longest.
It's
Beatles
the longest
song.
Beatles song, but most people don't consider it the longest Beatles song because it's not actually a song. It's just nothing.
It's a nothing thing.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because like this could have been like minutes that could have been like more Beatles music.
Yeah, it could have maybe
been another Rip Roarin' Lennon or McCartney track, or it could have been more Granny shit.
Yeah,
I would have taken 9 more minutes of Granny shit.
Yeah, no, I would too. No, absolutely, yeah, because it's just like it was a song that Paul McCartney and George Martin didn't want on the track. It's like I can't even call it experimental because they're not really experimenting. They're just shitting in their hands, basically. Figuratively and literally, and but I think at that point, like things were so divided against McCartney that he was overruled by John, George, and Ringo was just kind of in on it, just like, oh, yeah, let's just do it, let's just keep it on there, and it's just fucking garbage.
It's nothing.
It's a waste.
Yeah,
a waste.
Yeah. So that's all we're gonna say about that.
Hashtag a waste.
Yeah, hashtag a waste.
Next one closes out the album. It's Good Night.
Good night. Sleep tight.
It's the one time Ringo sings on disc 2 for the White Album. Song written by John Lennon as a lullaby to his son Julian.
Yeah.
I
think it's a sweet little number, you know.
Yeah.
If you have a kid, put it on and it's fine. I mean, I think I think you get some great string arrangement there, and you get some pretty good Ringo vocals. It's just a nice little children's number.
Yeah.
Is it the best way to end a double album? No.
Is it the best way to end any album?
Nah. Well, I mean, if you're doing maybe Yellow Submarine.
Yeah. That's a good point.
But not the White Album. But in the end, how the fuck do you end the White Album? You know what I mean? With just chaos.
You could have ended it with Cry Baby Cry.
He could have. We could have ended with Helter Skelter screaming, "I got blisters on my fingers."
Yeah. Yeah, with the last thing you hear is
I've got blisters on my fingers.
Yeah, cuts.
Yeah. But so I mean, it is a quiet end to a very loud album. Very loud album,
a very mixed bag of an album. You know, now that we're at the end of disc 2, my sister's favorite album is the White Album. There's just so much like chuffa, as I like to say, which is to say filler. All filler, no killer. No, there's some killer. It's just. Yeah,
I mean, it's the Beatles at their
most self-indulgent.
Yeah, but and that breeds some really great stuff, like you were saying. Like I think I like the White Album a little more than you do. I think it's at them at their heaviest. Obviously them at their most divided, but also them at the most like punk rock.
Well, I would say their most divided is.
Oh, well, let it be. Yeah. So that's fair, but yeah, definitely most punk rock, the heaviest album, I think, and is something that people follow the Beatles formula for bands. When a band usually releases a double album, usually means they're in trouble. Look at Pink Floyd, but I
guess the last album, Chili Peppers album with John Frusciante, was a double.
Mm-hmm. Double album usually, not always. The River. Well, actually, no, because the River. Then he does Nebraska after that, right? But doesn't break the band up till Born in the USA. So, but again, yeah, the double album is usually not a great sign, but you can usually get some really cool stuff. Again, I'm on the opinion that you very rarely need double albums in music. The Wall being the only one I think is a perfect example of needing a double album.
Even though you wouldn't even say that about Bruce Springsteen's The River.
the river. I mean, it's got great stuff. That'd be fine. But like for me, the wall is a concept,
Sure.
and that concept needed to be told in that space.
Yeah.
And,
You wouldn't say that about Exile on Main Street?
No. Again, it's just, why have some, filler when you could just cut the fat out and make it really lean? Again, but no one really had ever done something really like this with the, double albums before.
I don't think a rock band had ever put out,
so
at least a popular one.
People probably at the time thinking, oh, a double album, they're making all this music, they must be loving it,
Yeah, that and the fact that they're trying to launch Apple Core.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, look, this is the first Apple Core branded Beatles thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a double album.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, again, it's like we did with Magical Mystery Tour. It's very interesting and talking about this track by track because you really get like a totally different sense. I mean, we've been listening to this album for years and years and decades, but to sit down and just talk about it, track by track, crossover style like we did with the Kiss album, like you think of the albums totally differently than you had maybe if you just been listening to the same, for those couple of years or decades. But it's definitely one was cool to re-listen to and think about. Even Revolution Number 9, I just skipped, but
I always skip Revolution.
Yeah, what's the point?
I've heard it once. I never have to hear it again.
Yeah.
Those are 8 minutes of my life I'll never get back.
Yeah.
But hey, hopefully you enjoyed this 30 minutes of your life.
Yeah, a little more restrained, not as goofy as the last one.
No, but it's still like, despite the heavy subject matter, still pretty whimsical.
Yeah, it's funny because Magical Mystery Tour was like our most downer one. We're like,
Yeah.
oh god,
Yeah.
oh god.
It's supposed to be.
We're like, this album's fucking dope, and then we were like going by track, we're like, it's sad or what?
Yeah, Blue Jay Way.
Oh,
Oh,
shit.
flying.
Oh, god.
No.
Not flying.
Flying. Oh,
There's
no.
a fog upon in the back of the guy going,
Yeah.
please don't be long.
I was thinking like side 2. It was like all building to Baby You're a Rich Man, but we had to like slog through talking about like how do you have to slog about talking through Magical Mystery Tour?
Yeah, I know. It's weird because like we're like, oh, we don't need we got this
It's
shit.
fucking Magical It's fucking Strawberry Fields Forever.
Yeah, and we got to Magic. We were doing Magical Mystery Tour, like the song. We're like, roll up, motherfuckers, and like it's awesome.
Yeah,
and they were like, oh,
Fool on the Hill. Okay,
it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. And then going through, and they were like, fucking,
I'm the Walrus.
I'm the Walrus. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think everyone has heard about this one already.
Hello, goodbye. Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sweet.
I like the outro. Sam doesn't. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
I like the bridge.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. Pretty dope. Penny Lane and Strawberry Fields of Penny Lane, massive.
They're there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But baby, you're a rich man.
Man, that's the highlight. I mean, it's my favorite song on that album.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is wild because again, it has Strawberry Fields
And Penny Lane.
and Penny Lane and All You
And
Need Is
Walrus
Love and yep.
and
And on this,
Flying.
what would you say? Okay, what would you say is your favorite song on all of the White Album?
Mother Nature's Son.
Mother Nature's Son. Really interesting.
Yep.
Tits. I think my favorite might be. Is it While My Guitar Gently Weeps? That's wild.
That's a good one.
That's it. That is a good one.
Because the problem for this again with the double album is like
There's a lot of good stuff.
Mother Nature's Son, of course. I love Happiness is a Warm Gun.
Mm-hmm.
I love Back in the USSR, and I love Helter Skelter. Like those are the songs
Dear
that like
Prudence.
Dear Prudence, of course. Yeah.
I Will.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Blackbird.
Yeah. It's funny you said I will and I didn't say anything. Like I like I will, but then,
just,
that wouldn't be
just
one
nods,
of them. Yeah,
like,
okay.
uh-huh.
I love McCartney, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. Piggies.
Yeah.
Silence.
Piggies. Do I like Piggies more than I will? Maybe. I don't know. I'm
Really?
a psychopath.
Damn, I wouldn't even go that far. Fuck.
No, I think it's just the create. Have you seen the little piggies? I love that.
I like the harpsichord breakdown.
Yeah, I love the losing their shit, man. Like they're losing their minds in this album. Like Piggy, they Savory Truffle, all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But no, I Will is a great fucking number. Again, that's solo McCartney before solo McCartney. But yeah, Mother Nature's Son. I can even not on the podcast obviously for copyright reasons, but I can even play you the moment that I know that it's like my favorite song, one of my favorite songs of all time. It feels weird to say by the Beatles because it's not really by the Beatles.
There's a lot of songs on this album that aren't
by the Beatles. But in terms of like a Beatles number that they all played and jammed on and did stuff.
Your blues.
It for me, it'd be Happiness Is a Warm Gun. For like all the Beatles are bringing it. You get the progressive element, you get the heavy element. It's like 3 songs in one. That would be my pick, even over Helter Skelter, because I feel like it's more of a band effort with Happiness Is a Warm Gun.
I don't like the last movement in Happiness.
You don't?
Yeah, I like the first 2 just
Yeah.
fine, but
Okay.
the last movement's where it loses me a bit.
Gotcha. I don't know what it. I dig it. But again, with a double album, like you said, you're getting dig it. I dig a pygmy by Charles Hawtrey, the Deaf Aids. That's a different moment.
Part
but
1.
yeah,
Doris.
Doris gets her oats. But yeah, I mean, again, you're gonna get a lot of stuff. But I feel like there are a lot of people. I've talked to people where this is like their favorite Beatles album.
Oh yeah,
you know,
again,
it's
yeah.
still.
My sister's not the only person I've talked to that's like, this is my favorite Beatles album. It's like,
yeah.
okay.
Well, and she also her Dear Prudence is her
Dear
favorite.
Prudence is her favorite Beatles
track.
song.
That's a
so
good
yeah.
one, man. That's a good one, man.
It's a winner.
You get the best drumming of all time from the Beatles now. Sorry, Ringo. But yeah, I mean, again, we're nearing the end, dude.
Yeah.
In terms of studio albums, you know, we still.
Well, there's only 2 left.
Yeah.
And then there's 2, like there's Past Masters Volume 1 and 2. So there's 4 episodes left of Deconstructing the Beatles. This is
It feels like forever ago, dude. Holy shit!
Since
that we started
November,
this.
yeah. It'll be less than a year when it's all said and done.
Because when we
We're on
started,
the accelerated
because
schedule
when we
now.
started this, I was starting my Lethal Weapon podcast.
Yeah, which
granted
is,
that was only 4 episodes, but still.
Yeah, and now you're just wrapping up. You just with last week, you just wrapped up. 70s Kiss.
Yeah. 70s Kiss is done. We're moving into the 80s. Yeah. The 80s.
The last really prolific decade for the band.
Yeah. And we're moving to some uncharted fucking territory with that. So.
Yeah. Whereas this has all been charted.
Oh, it's
we
been
just
charted.
like talking about this shit.
Yeah.
And hopefully you like to listen to it.
Oh, hopefully.
Hopefully
the guy that...
Hopefully every time I say, good evening and welcome to Slaggers, hopefully that doesn't you don't stop this is fucking nightmare fuel.
Hopefully random guy who listens to the Kiss podcast who hates the Kiss Go stuff but loves Magic Touch and loves Revolution Number 9 is like, God damn it!
Yeah, we exist to that's our enemy. People
He's
that
like, it's
Revolution.
fucking ahead of its time.
Yeah. It's avant-garde. Well, you avant-garde a clue.
Yeah. That's French for bullshit.
Yeah. So,
as they say.
Yeah. So, this has been another installment of Deconstructing the Beatles. We're going to really get into the album that really fucking annihilates them as a band.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
unfortunately.
Fucking Drago's their Apollo Creed.
Yeah. So.
Drago's their Apollo Creed.
I mean,
it happens, but that was a weird stretch then, right?
Of all the references.
Yeah. Well, it's dead. That's why.
Yeah, he beats him to death with his hands in front of James Brown in Las Vegas.
Yeah, James Brown's that's so awkward for him.
Dying in America.
Across the nation.
I'm Sam.
I'm Jake.
Bye. This has been another Geek Out production. If you enjoyed what you heard, hey, we've got a new commentary every Monday. We've got a special episode every Friday. Of course, there's the usual catching up show every Wednesday. And you get book club episodes just about every Tuesday these days. Thanks for listening.